Ciao a tutti and welcome to Venice Talks, a podcast series about Venice in Italy. My name is Monica Cesarato and I am a Venetian food and travel blogger. I'm going to put my insider knowledge at your disposal to help you discover Venice at 360 degrees. Each week, I will be chatting to the people who really matter, the Venetian. So follow me on the discovery of its artisans, writers, fashion designers, artists, glassmakers, bloggers, and much, much more. Come to visit Venice the right and sustainable way. You can find me on my blog www.monicacesarato.com and also on all social media. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to Venice Talks, episode number 30. Hi everybody and welcome back to Venice Talks. Today my special guest is a world famous journalist and writer from Venice. I am so honored to have him with me today, and is Alessandro Marzo Magno. Hi Alessandro, how are you?
Hi, Monica. I'm fine. Thank you. And thank you for worldwide famous, because it is not true.
Oh, it is. Okay, so since you say you're not worldwide famous, let's explain who you are. Because I mean, somebody who's written as many books as you is definitely famous. Okay, well, so who are you?
Well, I am a journalist. I was born in Venice. I can say 60 years ago, it's all right.
Okay.
And so I was grown here, I studied here, and since 25 years I live in Milano, but going down between Venice and Milano. And I wrote some book, some history books.
Wow.
20.
Many, yeah. And, well, that's plenty.
Some of them are also translated, just one into English, others in Japanese, in
only one in English?
Only one in English.
Why is that? Why is that? Because your books are so interesting.
Well, I don't know. You have to ask it to publishers' houses.
These publishers. Well, listen, I know the feeling, because mine is taking him 1 year to agree, and he has it already translated. It's just, yeah, all right. So I know. So, and you write books about Venice, but also about other Italian things, don't you?
Yes, most of them are about Venice, but anyway, are history books. Some about, well, one, for instance, about money, history of banking, finance, money, and another couple, two, about history of books, because probably it is not very well known that Venice was the world book capital in the 16th century.
Yeah. Well, so many things that people don't know about Venice. That's why I want to talk to you, because I like what you do, because you try to you explain Venice in a much easier way for people. I think that's one of your characteristics. Is you try to make the history of Venice easy for everybody.
Easy and funny also.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it is.
Yeah, and don't you, I mean, this is my personal opinion, I don't know if you agree, but I find that Venetian history is so underrated, and is so not, we talk about it amongst, in Venice, of course, but outside, they only know the general parts, but they don't really know the importance of Venice, the head in the history of Europe and of the world in a way, don't they?
Yeah, sometimes it happens. You are right. I think that probably it is because of, in part, it is because Venice was a republic and not a state like with a
king or whatever.
King, or yes, or like I don't know, Florence, for instance. Everybody knows Medici family, or who knows, in Milano, Visconti family, Sforza, and so on. And Venice was a republic, so there were many families who were in charge to rule the state, and nobody was more important of others. Of course, they were, but not so important to be prevalent on the other. And so we don't have an history like I mean a family history, isn't it?
Right.
And and probably it is easier to talk about family, about Medici family, or I don't know, Borgia, who were in Rome and so on. So then in history of a state. You know?
Right. Well, obviously, also because being also such an important republic, and don't you think also it's because Venice was never under the control of the church in a way that that also.
I think that for the English speaking people, that is a plus.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm thinking, like, for example, one thing I noticed when I was, comparing to now to what I know now of Venice, I realized that, for example, when I went to school, we never studied really Venice, as such, over history, and I'm just a little bit younger than you, not very much younger. And, I liked history and I did study history, but we never talked about Venice the way we should have, in a way, being Venetians as well. I don't know. Do you think also?
There are many reasons, I think. I must say that I had very good teachers in the first school and what say scuola elementare, scuola media.
Yeah, primary school and secondary school.
Yes, okay. They teach us also the history of Venice. But one of the reasons is, and it seems ridiculous, but it is, because the most important history books for schools has been written by people from Firenze.
See,
I don't know if you remember Lo Spini.
Yes.
He was from Florence.
Okay.
And, he underscored the importance of Florence.
Of course, yeah.
Forgot the role of Venice. This is the same reason why also we in Italy think of Renaissance as a Florentine.
Yes, of course.
Happening, a Florentine question. Instead, Renaissance was not only in Florence.
Of course it wasn't. Alessandro, this is so interesting, because for years I've been thinking in my head that there has been some kind of, I'm not saying like a propaganda, but some kind of, to try to kind of not to talk about Venetian history, because, being so independent as we were, we might give the wrong ideas to the rest of Italy, and they might want to, start another independent war or something. So this actually makes sense. So but actually, I want to talk about this because today you actually wrote something on Facebook that I found it very interesting. You actually wrote, "History is made with documents, not with feelings." Okay, we're talking about the new articles that came back about Italian cuisine and so on, and that made me think. What about if the documents are actually fake or incorrect or propaganda?
Well,
or bipartisan, like the Florentine person who wrote the history book for schools. So how does it work?
History book is not a document. It's based on documents, is made with documents, but it is not a document. Documents are papers that you can find in archives.
Okay.
They can also be fake, of course, or also be wrong. But if somebody wrote a fake documents 4 centuries ago, probably has been reason. It is also interesting to understand why this document was fake, Anyway, I must say that the most part of documents are not fake, and you must read it to get how facts has been. Because very often in the books there are some mistakes, sometimes simply mistakes, because because
we're human.
Yeah, okay, and these mistakes are you can find them through years and years, because everybody looks at the books written before, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes.
And instead of going to archives, and sometimes I go, it's basic for
well, yeah, for an historian and researcher, I should hope so. Yeah.
And so, well, I don't know. For instance, I has been recently in London, and in London there is the National Archive in London. There is a very, very important amount of Venetian documents because Browning he was a poet, and he lived in Carezzonico.
Oh, I didn't know he lived in Carezzonico. Okay.
He bought many documents, whatever it found in the in the street market and so on and so on.
Oh, okay.
All these documents about the history of Venice are in London.
Okay.
So you can find many interesting things there. For instance, there are all the account of the public lighting in the 18th century in Venice, with the account of the expenses of oil. It was olive oil to light the streets of Venice during the night.
Wow. And I got to ask you, olive oil from Corfu? Because when I went to Corfu, I found out, and that's the Corfu people that told me, the Greek people, that their olives are crap. And their crap were horrible because the Venetian destroyed the plants that they were there before and planted those kind of olives to make oil to be used for, energy and stuff like that, not for cooking. Is that true? So was it the same kind of oil, do you think? Could have been.
It was the same kind of oil.
Good.
The most part of the olive oil was used for lighting and not for cooking. Anyway, it was not true that it was only in Corfu, because
I was in Corfu. They told me in Corfu. Assume they did it to all the other islands.
I know very well these kind of stories. Everywhere you go along the Adriatic, they accuse the local people accused Venice to cutting timbers to build ships, to build houses.
Oh yeah, but I think the Slovenian people said that we literally deforested Slovenia.
In fact, and it is funny because they say this story also were in the areas that were not under the Venetian rule. For instance, near Trieste, the government was the Austrian government, government, not the Venetian one. But if you go to in the Carso near Trieste, they say, "Oh, you are from Venice. Your ancestors cut all our trees to build ships for the Venetian fleet." It is simply not true.
Okay.
The most part of wood went for fishing.
Oh, okay.
The fishing boat, they went out with one fishing boat and 2 or 3 boats full of wood to light the sea during the night, because of the fishing of Sardinian. Of these Sardinians, no, Sardinians is
yeah, no, don't think we fish the Sardinians. It's okay.
Fish that you must fish with the aid of light. No?
Yeah, of course.
So during the century, along all the Adriatic shores, they cut millions, probably billions of trees to go fishing.
So it wasn't just Venetians.
They don't remember it. They prefer to say, "Oh, you are Venetian and you stole the."
That's why they needed documents. That's why they needed the documents to prove it.
That's why you need documents, because in the documents you can find that the most part of trees of wood was used for fishing. Anyway, it's true that in Corfu, and also along the Dalmatia shores, and in Istria, they made a lot of oil or olive oil and and sent it to Venice because it was the most important market.
Of course.
But for instance, in the 17th century, there is a book about Dalmatia written by Alberto Fortis. And it is the first important book about Dalmatia, and he wrote that the best oil of the Venetian state was in the island of Cherso, now Zres, now in Croatia. And so it was another important point for production of the olive oil. Anyway, it is true that from Corfu went to Venice a lot of olive oil. I don't know if they destroyed the island to get it.
Oh, I don't know. That was the point of view of the Corfu people.
Yeah, but it is funny because everywhere you go, you find the same point of view.
Yeah, that love and hate relationship. Listen, Alessandro, who is your favorite Doge?
My favorite Doge is Enrico Dandolo.
And why is that?
Because he was a sort of, how can I say? He was able to divert a crusade. This is not so common.
Easy. No? Yeah.
So he conquered the most important, the richest, and the most beautiful city of his era. It was in 1204. And it was Constantinople, and of course,
what we now call Istanbul for the people that don't know history.
After the falling of the Byzantine Empire, it's become Istanbul, and well, it also destroyed it, but
by mistake, though, wasn't it?
No.
It was intentional. They're gonna sue Venice. Istanbul's gonna sue Venice.
But anyway, the many parts of Venice are built with stones, with marbles, with fantastic piece of art coming from Constantinople. Starting from the four horses.
Exactly. Isn't it funny that we always complain that the French took them away and the French took so many things away from us when we were the first one that actually were taking things away from people?
Yes and not. Yes, because of course it is right. The French made the same things that we made before in another place, but it is not funny because I mean, okay, I'm from Venice, so I say we.
Yeah, I'm not from Venice, I'm from Terraferma, but I'll say we anyway, okay?
By the fact that they accused the Venetian to steal wood, so I can say we. We didn't go to Constantinople to saying we take the freedom, we take liberty, the civil rights, and so on and so on. Instead, when the French came in the 1797, they said that they were
freeing us.
See, okay, yes,
freeing us.
I don't remember. They said they took the liberty.
Exactly.
Or they broke. No, they took. Okay, I don't remember the right verb. The liberty and the civil rights and so on. Instead, they still
practically everything, destroyed all the convents and monastery and many churches as well.
Keep quiet, because it is true that the French were the first to do it, and so they gave the starting of this series of the happenings that are not yet finished at our days.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They are not the only one. because during the Austrian period, Austrians did the same. And if you go to Vienna, there are still in Austrian Museum pieces of art coming from Venice, and they were still from Venice. And who destroyed the churches and sold everything were Venetians.
Oh, just like now. Just like now then. Yes, nothing has 100 years, 200 years, nothing has changed. Listen, Alessandro, what's your favorite period in Venetian history?
Well, it depends. The period of
the one that when you study or you're preparing a book or you're just reading about it, is the one that intrigues you the most, you like the most, you find it more akin to you.
So now I'm writing about 18th century, and I find the 18th century very funny, very. I'm writing a book about Casanova because in 2025 will be 300
years
from his birth, and well, it is so funny. They made a lot of interesting things, not only the things that we think are related to Casanova, but also writing, have a connection with people in the other countries. The world was very, very connected in that.
Spying as well? A lot of spying?
Yes.
Okay.
And well,
was Casanova a spy as well? Was he?
Yes, he was.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I knew he was a multitasking person. Yeah. What we will call multitasking today. Didn't know. Okay, I heard the rumors.
He considered himself a writer.
Okay.
And he was a spy. He was a gambler. He was everything,
So, but since you're studying and you're writing a book about him, how much about what what is known about him is true, and where does the legend and all the propaganda that he himself created, the fake news he created, where does it start?
He didn't create fake news. Almost everything, I must say, everything he wrote and his memory books was true. Simply, he amplified.
The typical Venetian from a fish that size, it turns into a shark.
Okay, but
very Venetian.
Many people studied Casanova and his memory books, and you know that in only in 20th century has been written 2,000 books about him.
Wow, that's a lot.
Of course, it is impossible to read all of them.
Yeah.
And anyway, he was always more, not always, but almost. He brought the right news, and but when you go to check them, you find that he was true.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes I say he exaggerated, and what it is very, very exaggerated. It is his name to be a Casanova, because
okay. So he wasn't a Don Giovanni as much as we think he was.
In Don Giovanni said in Spain they are 1,003, isn't it? And instead, the Casanova, who counted the women that he
dated, let's say dated, okay.
He wrote about 116 women in the.
When did he die? How old was he when he died?
Okay, now I tell you, I make the calculation. He died when he was 73.
Okay.
He had the first sexual intercourse when he was 18, because
you knew what I wanted to know then. How many women per year then? I was trying to work it out.
And then you have also to take out the last 13 years of his life. He was in this castle in Bohemia, and he was isolated there. So you have 42 years of sexual activity.
That's not so much, 3 per year then. Come on, it wasn't one every few months.
It is less than 3 per year.
Yeah, that's not bad then. Come on.
You can say she teacher in Cortina d'Ampezzo is doing better than Casanova.
I know. I was thinking there's men nowadays that are much better. Well, better. They do better as in numbers, not whatever they're better. We don't know. But gosh, that must be so interesting. And also, I mean, as you were saying, all the connection that he had all over the world, must be. He did speak many languages, did he? Or not?
French.
Oh, okay.
French and Latin, but Latin, it was very common for all the educated people in that era, and French, it was like English today. It was the language.
So listen, in your book about Casanova, because I know you're like me, you like food. Are you gonna also touch one chapter about what was eaten in his period and what his food? I'm looking forward. I'm gonna do my. I'm gonna.
You ask me.
Wow, of course.
You already know the question.
I know. Now, I can't wait for the book to come out then, because I will make a menu out of it. I'm definitely gonna make a menu out of it.
I give also a recipe.
Yes.
About, what Casanova calls maccheroni, that are not actual maccheroni as we know them now.
Talking about Italian cuisine and having the different names and changes and stuff, yeah.
They are gnocchi. Well, I don't know how is gnocchi.
Okay.
Anyway, I found out an old recipe, and there's been a restaurant near Vicenza who tried to make this Casanova gnocchi, and after many attempts, they were successful. After 11 attempts, they were successful.
My God! Wow.
So in the book, you will find also the recipe for this Casanova gnocchi.
Oh, I'm so looking forward. Okay, listen, I want 3 anecdotes with topics that you touched in your books. So, an anecdote about Venetian women in the history of Venice, like the most famous and most important, or the one that hasn't been, nobody talks about, or something like that. A little anecdote.
First of all, we have to say that Venice was a republic, and for that reason, women in Venice were more important than in the other states of their epoch, their time.
The era, yeah, that time, yeah.
Okay, not we must not think of
emancipation, right, women's rights,
because all these stuffs didn't exist at that time. Anyway, women were more important in Venice, and also in Genoa, I must say, because were trade states, and so men stayed out of home many months, and so women were in charge to run.
They had to run the businesses.
Affairs, you know.
Yeah, the businesses and so on. Yes, and they both the Republic of Genoa and of Venice were merchant states, so money had to be made.
Of course. And after that, in Venice have been some important women. And for instance, the first university graduated in the history. Well, I don't know in the history, but for sure, the first that we have the
documents
documents.
That's it. Well, history is made with documents, as you say. Yeah.
Yeah, her name was Elena Lucrezia Corner Piscopia. She graduated in philosophy in Padua 28th of June 1678, 178. And so she's the first that we have documents, and we can say for sure that he was graduated at the university.
She wanted to become a doctor, though, but they wouldn't allow her, right? And they allow her only to do philosophy.
In theology, but the Bishop of Padua didn't allow her to get the graduation in theology, and so with a sort of compromise between the bishop and her father, they went to philosophy graduation. And so graduated in philosophy.
But Padova only started talking about her a few years ago, isn't it? Before that, nobody very rarely mentioned her, even though she was fairly important.
Yeah, and we go back to what you said at the beginning of our conversation. I don't know why. Maybe also why we here in Venice, in Veneto, are always we underestimate our history. We are not proud to explain it like other people. I don't know. Anyway, we had many important first time in the history that also we don't know for and if we don't know, we cannot explain to others, you know.
Right. Another thing I want to know, and this I'm not 100% sure that you can tell me because you wrote a book about it. How come in Venice, for the word money, we have got so many words?
Sorry?
Because for the word money, we say skei, monea, denaro. Okay. Why have we got so many words that always mean money? Why is that?
Because Venice was very rich, and it was a merchant state, as you say before. Skei, it is an Austrian word.
From shilling, yes. Skilling.
Scheidemünze.
Yeah, okay.
Scheidemünze. It was a coin during the Austrian period, and if you read Scheide in Italian, you read skei.
Sì, giusto.
Sky in German, skei in Italian, and so this coin became skei. Before, if you go to the Goldoni works, the word to say money was Bessie.
Yes.
Bessie. And
oh my God, I haven't heard that word in years. That's true. And that, why was it called Bessie then?
Because it was a coin.
Venetian coin?
Yes, the coin had several coins had several names, you know. And it is so difficult. It's too long and too difficult to explain.
Oh, God, I have to interview you. We're going to have to do another interview about money then, are we?
Yes, there were many small change with different names, you know.
Okay.
One was Gazzetta. Gazzetta was a small coin with which you could buy a newspaper. And by the fact that this newspaper costed 1 Gazzetta, the name of newspaper became Gazzetta. And also in English, you have Gazette.
Okay. Ooh, and the word bank comes from Venice, doesn't it?
No,
from
Italy.
I thought it came from the banco in the ghetto.
No, banco was everywhere. Was used everywhere. The banks before then in Venice were in Genoa and in Florence.
Okay.
The financial capital of the Renaissance was Florence, not Venice. Venice was the merchant capital. Florence was the
money lending capital, or maybe no.
Florence always.
Okay. Right. Okay. Got you. Okay.
And
right.
so but the word banca comes by the fact that they put the money on a table, on a banco, you know.
Okay.
That,
okay.
But everywhere, not only in Venice. And this word was used everywhere. Also in Greek, you have trapeza. Trapeza means banco, in the same way, you know.
Okay. Okay. So what other Venetian words are noun used everywhere, but people
ciao,
don't?
of course.
Okay. Yes.
Ciao. When you say ciao, you say "Chavo suo," that means your slave. That it was a very formal way to say hello.
Yeah, like at your service.
Yeah, at your service, of course.
Right. And also the word for
servidor, that means servant, or
yes.
Chavo, that means slave. And you could say servidor suo or chavo suo. It was a very formal, but also a very normal way to say hello to people, you know.
And then you have a word quarantine. So up to date nowadays.
Yes, it is. But in Venice, more than a word was the method that came from Venice, and the word lazzaretto came from Venice, because the first quarantine were in this island, in the Venetian lagoon, the isola of, there was a church of Santa Maria di Nazareth called Nazaretum. From Nazaretum came Lazaretum, then Lazzaretto, and now we have it was 1423, the first Lazzaretto.
Okay.
Now, what are 600 years? I don't know. 500.
You know that I thought that he came from the word Lazarus because Lazarus was born again. Oh wow! I didn't realize it's that that's the reason. Okay.
And there the mainly crew of ships coming to Venice from area where there was the plague must stay there for a period of time, but in Venice was called contumacia, and the word quarantine came from Lombardy. It was used in the church, of course. It was a religious word. 40 days after, before Pasqua, you know, before Easter, 40 days before Easter.
See, what we now call Quaresima.
Yes.
Okay.
And from these 40 days, this word went from the religious use to the sanitarian use, you know, to the to say that you must stay apart for some days. They were not necessarily 40, you know.
Okay, Alessandro, your book Venezia, una storia di mare e di terra. Tell me, please, that it's been translated in English.
At the moment, not.
Why not? Because it's so full of information, so full of nice.
It will be translated in Russian.
Okay, yes, but I'm doing the podcast in English. Not doing it in Russian.
I know.
You need to get this
in Polish, Russian.
Look, no, okay, I got to say, this is one of the best books I've ever read, and it's not because I'm interviewing it, because I am using it for my books as well. You are one of my, how can I say, my sources. Okay. I really love the way you've, you know, you wrote a history about Venice, but in a nice, let's say, as you say before, in a much funnier way. And I love the way that the way the book is structured for the people that can read Italian, but now we're going to convince Alessandro to do it in English as well, is each chapter puts Venice into, let's say, a contemporary vision, and then it connects it to the history. And I love that because above all, when I went to Corfu, I was there. And I was recognizing, you know, as you were describing and everything. But it's so full of notions, informations, and facts that I think so many people don't actually know. And it just shows how important, our city and the states of Venice was for the history of the world. So please, can you tell your editor, please, let's do it in English. He will sell
Of
so
course,
much.
I would like that the book could be translated into English, also because I would get more money.
Oh, of course. I
But
don't know. Why do you think this Italian editor struggles so much? We wanted to translate a book.
yes, I know that my publishing house it's very good, and they struggle to get translation of the books, but it depends on, of course, on foreigners publishers.
Yeah, I cheated with my editor because he couldn't say no because I translated it myself, and then I got somebody to check it over, mother tongue, to check it over for me. So he can't say to me the cost of translating because he has no
but
knowledge.
they are always translating something,
Yeah.
It is not the most important thing, the cost of translation.
Yeah, exactly. But
they decide to translate something yes or something not.
It's a pity because this book for me, it will be the best approach for somebody that comes to Venice and doesn't know anything about it, and is easy to read, is full of information. I mean, you can't see me now, but if you saw my book now, I got post-it practically on every single page with notes of this I need, this I need, this I need for the books I'm writing at the moment. Listen, Alessandro, where can people find you online?
On Amazon or EBS?
No, you online. You as
not my book, me.
Yeah, you. No,
I
your
have,
books. Your books, of course,
I
I can find.
I am on social, on Facebook, on Instagram. I have a site, alessandromarzomagno.it, and so you can
They can find you everywhere.
Easily me everywhere. Also, maybe too much.
Oh. Listen, one last question.
Yes.
The book you didn't write, but you wish you had. From of all times. Of all times. Okay, not necessarily new.
Well, some years ago, I found a very interesting person in Trieste who was in the beginning of the 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
He was the son of the Rabbi of Trieste, and he went to Vienna because Trieste was Austrian in that time.
The period, yeah.
And he financed first the Emperor Franz Joseph, then Benito Mussolini. After him, he financed also the Marshal Tito in Yugoslavia. He was the owner of the notorious car factory BMW, and he was the person who changed the name of this factory into BMW.
Okay.
And it was the most important producer of airplanes during the First World War for Austria, and also partly for German. It was the most important banker of Europe in the 20s, and so on and so on and so on. But by the fact that he is absolutely unknown, his name was Camillo Castiglioni. Nobody wanted to publish a book about him. Now that if you go you can find a book about him. But so I decided not to write this book because
darn.
Normally the publisher want to publish biography about people who is already well known. So,
yes, of course. Well, otherwise, why would you buy a book? Otherwise, unless you turn into fiction. But yeah.
Anyway,
I get it.
A book on Napoleon, on mainly Adolf Hitler, it's okay because everybody.
Of course.
These people, and they buy a book about these people.
Yeah.
If you write a book about a person who nobody knows, nobody buys this book.
Yeah. Well, that's why they need good social media managers nowadays. Oh, well, we're gonna have to write a book about you then, Alessandro. Then when eventually I go, see. Listen, Alessandro, I got to ask you this I'm not saying straight away, but in a few months' time, if you can come back, because I had so much fun and I got so many things that I want to ask you about Venice. And I'm pretty sure that my listeners and my readers will want to, also because I want to know how it's going with a new book. When are you planning to publish it? The Casanova one?
Autumn, I think.
Oh, okay, it's fine. Then December, I'm interviewing you then.
Okay.
get it done in English though, because, by the way, I'm going to have to put in touch with somebody, because I don't know if you know, there is a Casanova convention pretty soon in Venice in the next few months. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you know about it. So mm-hmm. you should definitely take part in that. Alessandro, it was so nice talking to you, and an honor, because I've been wanting to interview for a long time. It's just I couldn't pick up the courage, and I have to say it was only because Marisa said to me, send him a message, send him a message, send him a message. and what was it as well? Davide Busato said to me, oh, it will be fine, don't worry. But you writers always, I got to say, I always get a little bit self-conscious with you writers. Between you, Alberto, Davide, and Pier Alvise, I always get like, oh my God, they are, you're my idols. So for me, it's like, oh, okay.
No, don't exaggerate.
Well, it is, you have to remember, I got my little book out, but it's a guidebook. I keep telling everybody it's just a guide and it's about food. But, I only wrote it on the spur of a moment, and I literally wrote in 1 month time. But for me, I'm not a writer. I'm 100 things, but definitely not that. But so when I speak to somebody that knows how to write, it's an honor, a big honor for me. So thank you again for your time as well. And also I'll speak to you in 6 months' time then.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao, ciao. It was a pleasure talking to Alessandro, and we hope to have him back on the show pretty soon. You can find Alessandro at www.alessandromarzomagno.it and on all social medias as Alessandro Marzo Magno. Thank you again for listening. If you want to book a food tour or a cooking experience with me, you can find me on my blog www.monicacesarato.com or at cookingvenice.com, and also on all social medias with the handle at Monica Cesarato and at Cooking Venice. Feel free to leave a comment or write to info@monicacesarato.com for more information about the people featured in the podcast or Venice. Bye bye!